Start your wellness journey at Whole Foods Market, where it's Jumpstart January through the 16th. Stock up on supplements with some of the year's biggest savings. Plus, save on air-chilled organic boneless skinless chicken breasts, organic Honeycrisp apples, organic large Hass avocados, and more. And since Whole Foods Market is the only certified organic national grocer, it's easy to make them your wellness destination. Jumpstart your January now at Whole Foods Market.
Brooks Running has a new shoe for you runners out there. Did you hear that? Better turn up your volume. In fact, turn it up to the max. Introducing the all-new Ghost Max. It's got all kinds of things to make your knees and ankles feel protected, like Max Cushion, Max Soft Landings with DNA Loft V2 foam, and Max Smooth Rides with their Glide Roll Rocker. Feel better on your run with Ghost Max. Learn more at brooksrunning.com.
This is Central Texas Living with Ann Harder.
Hello, I'm Ann Harder. Welcome to Central Texas Living, the podcast. A big part of the mission of this podcast is to introduce you to people who are inspiring. They see a need, they're motivated to action, and today I'm delighted to welcome Regan Haddock to the podcast. I guess we first met through Civic Theater, performing, and you're training in musical theater, and a talented singer and entertainer. But today we can add triathlete to your resume.
Yes, we can.
And we might say you've been on a weight loss journey.
I sure have. It started probably about 2 years ago, where I decided to get my life back. I had been working out with a thing called Camp Gladiator for many years, and you kind of go through the motions and nothing was really working for me. And then just one day I thought, you know what? If my mind was on the same page as what I really want to do. So I decided I wanted to do something amazing with my body, and I wanted to lose 100 pounds. And once my mind got there, once I decided to stop listening to excuses of why I can't do it, that's when everything just took off for me.
And you did. In fact, when we were still doing the television show, you came on as a guest because you had lost, you'd hit that 100 pound.
I hit the 100 pounds.
I think is just remarkable. That's like almost a whole person.
I know.
So, how you felt, with that much less weight, and yet you still had more weight to lose.
Mm-hmm. So now I'm at 126 pounds lost, which sounds like not a lot, but everybody kind of hit COVID a little differently, and it was hard to have my normal routine back then. However, I did run my very first marathon in the middle of quarantine, so that was pretty amazing. And then I ran 2 more after that, so I ran 3 in 1 year, and that was neat. But just recently, I have changed my whole fitness journey, and it's more like what can I do instead of what I can't do. And I have been really losing tons of weight because I started training for triathlons and still running and still doing Camp Gladiator.
Well, I mean, I'm just exhausted hearing about that, and yet you do have more weight to lose.
Yes.
And so you're doing all of these really high impact kind of exercises with extra weight. So what kinds of remediation, what kinds of extra caution do you take?
I really don't. For so long I lived in this mindset that I was too fat to do things. And so I put limits on myself. And it just became kind of like a pacifier. So anytime I'd really want to do something, I would talk myself out of it because I was fat. So when I decided to go all into this fitness journey, I was no longer going to use the word I'm too fat to do that. Instead, I was like, oh, let's see if I can do it. And when you start with that mindset of I can do something and you really believe it, there is no limitations to what you can do. So what does your fitness routine look like? I mean, how does someone, even entertain the idea of running a marathon, which is 26.2 miles?
I just, I'm just in awe of you doing that. And can we ask your age?
Oh, I'm 39. I'm proud to tell people how old I am. I mean, I started when I was, mid 30s is when I decided, hey, I think I'm an athlete.
Well, and you are. You're very strong. And
Yes.
so have you always kind of struggled with weight, though?
Oh, always. I've never remember a time being skinny. In fact, when I turned 16, I gained like 100 pounds when I turned 16, and nobody could tell me why. And and I just settled into the mindset that I would always be fat, and I would always be struggling to breathe, and I would always, not be able to keep up with regular people.
So was it a metabolic thing, or what? Do you know?
We still don't really know the cause of it.
Yeah, because
yet.
that's just an amazing,
Yeah.
fast weight gain.
It was hard, and growing up being
Oh,
big
yeah,
was
yeah.
awful. But like they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I guess. So, but right when I was probably, I don't know, probably 35 at the time, and I watched my dad have a heart attack that took his life, and that's when it became real to me, and that's when I decided I want to live. And I had to do whatever it took to live my life to the fullest.
And so Camp Gladiator was your first introduction, right,
yes.
to this lifestyle change?
I mean, I tell people every day, Camp Gladiator saved my life. I mean, I was depressed. I didn't want to live. And out of nowhere, I get a phone call from a friend I haven't spoken to in years. And he's like, hey, I have a free camp. And I just took it from a gift from God that this was my opportunity to change my life. And I always tell people when God gives you an opportunity to change, run for it, grow through it, evolve through it. And I am so thankful for that journey.
So what was that first session like?
Like I wanted to die. It was really funny because at the time they did this thing where you would like run a lap for your warm up, and you'd come back and you'd do like a little workout, and then you'd run again and get in partners. Well, we all set off on our warm up lap, but I never came back to the other time because I was still struggling with the little warm-up lap, and they were all in different groups by the time I got back. And I remember getting down into a push-up, and it was on my knees, and I was struggling, and I was wearing these huge sunglasses so nobody could see me cry. And I got down into the push-up, and I couldn't push myself up. And at that moment, I thought to myself, this is your life, Regan. Are you going to give up right now and walk away from this? Or are you going to push yourself up and change? And for a split second, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I felt this, this voice inside me that said, push up. And that was the first time I hadn't given up on myself. Oh. So for 7 years, I've been in Camp Gladiator, and I have not given up on myself yet.
So you go early in the morning?
Oh, yeah. So with the training for like the triathlon, I get up at 3:45 and I work out from 4 to 4:45. Doing one part of the triathlon. And then I go to my boot camp, which is Camp Gladiator, from 5 to 6. And I do that on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And then on Thursdays and Saturdays, I train for both parts of the triathlon.
All right. So let's just, for example, the bike riding part.
That is fun. I hadn't rode a bike since I was 14 years old. And about 2 months ago, I decided I was going to do a triathlon. And I got on my bike for the first time. And I'm like, oh, man, I ran a marathon. I can easily do a bike. No, not at all. I struggled doing a mile, and I cried the whole mile. And I was like, I can't do this. And I almost talked myself out of it. But then I remembered that progress is a process. Mm-hmm. Just because you can't do something today doesn't mean tomorrow you can. Can't do it. So I got on my bike, and I guess it was last Saturday, I think, I did 50 miles on my bike. And I just think 2 months, I went from not even able to
crying
do a mile.
Through a one
mile.
1 mile.
To riding 50 miles.
That has just got to be so remarkable to see that change, to
It
see
is.
that improvement.
And, I tell people, if you want to know who you are, train for something. Because it's those moments where you're like, I can't do this. And that one more pedal or that one more foot right in front of the other. And that's where you see your inner strength. I used to tell people that the only thing good about me was I was a singer, and I was kind of funny. And then the more I learn about myself with my fitness journey, I'm like, man, I don't back down. I'm not a quitter. And those are things that you need to know about yourself. You need to know how far you can go. And I believe in, like, if you want to do something, train for a 5K, train for a 10K, train for a marathon. You'll find out a lot about you on a marathon.
Well, okay, so let's do the swimming now.
Okay.
Is swimming something you'd been doing or keeping up with?
I like to tell people I'm a mermaid. I love to swim.
Good.
I was terrified, though, in the Brazos River. That's a
That
whole
would
different
scare me.
ballgame.
That really would scare me.
Yeah, like lakes, cool. Pools, awesome.
But there's
that river,
there's currents and
Yeah.
stuff. Now they do monitor you. There are people watching.
Oh, yeah. They were phenomenal. I mean, there were kayaks, jet skis. I mean, I felt very safe there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And how long is the swim?
It depends on which one you do. Mine was a mile, and the other one was a mile and a half.
I can't even imagine. I can't. Okay, so then the running. How long is the running part of a triathlon?
Okay, there's different sets.
Right.
So there's a 5K, or well, it's technically 3.5 miles, and then the other one is like 6.5 miles. And which doesn't sound like a bad thing, but when you go from, swimming, riding your bike to running in like a flow, your muscles don't have time to adjust. So you just have to train your body to go from transition to transition to transition.
Start your wellness journey at Whole Foods Market, where it's Jumpstart January through the 16th. Stock up on supplements with some of the year's biggest savings. Plus, save on air-chilled organic boneless skinless chicken breasts, organic Honeycrisp apples, organic large Hass avocados, and more. And since Whole Foods Market is the only certified organic national grocer, it's easy to make them your wellness destination. Jumpstart your January now at Whole Foods Market.
Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
So how did you do that training?
I first I had to learn to ride the bike, like I said, because that was hard. And then of course running was kind of an easy thing because I had just got finished with a marathon, so my body was still used to running 3 to 4 times a week. For the swim, that was hard. I went to swim laps at the center, and then I would take an open water swim at the lake, which,
Did you have somebody with you, or
I didn't.
See, that scares me.
That with the training with the marathons, I did that all by myself. So I was used to training by myself and holding myself accountable. And but you're right, it is scary because training for a swim and the bike by yourself, and so many things could have happened. Like when I rode that 50 miles Saturday, I thought of all the things that could have happened. If I was all alone. Thank God nothing happened. But
well, let's talk about your support group. You do have a great one.
Oh my goodness, I could not have asked for a better. I mean, people I don't even really know are supporting me. People that I have never met face to face were at my triathlon at the end of the race.
Really?
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, when I tell you that I felt like this was a God thing, it's because I felt like the moment I decided to step out of my comfort zone, he surrounded me with tons of people who cover me with like prayers and encouragement and motivation. And I mean, and sometimes it's not nice motivation. Sometimes it's like, you need to get yourself up,
Get with it over there.
Get with it, level up, But,
well, and you've been able to reciprocate. I know you had a friend that I just saw it on Facebook. I follow you on Facebook. And you were there supporting like a teacher or a mentor or somebody.
Oh, yes. I mean, I go and support anybody.
Sure.
Because I know this is a hard thing to do, to put yourself out of your comfort zone, to, sweating for one thing is hard, period, because people look at you funny and you smell. And so when people are out there doing hard things, I want to be there front and center to support them, to cheer them on, to love them through, because, there's no better feeling than to be proud of yourself, but then to have other people who are proud of you too. That's that is a great, great feeling.
Well, you've accomplished some amazing goals. What is the next goal? Do you have other weight loss goals? Or
I
what
do. I would like to lose another 50 pounds. I would also like to gain a lot more muscle too, because what I want to do next, and I can't believe I'm telling you this, I want to be an Ironman.
Oh yeah, so an Ironman, that's a whole nother thing.
Whole nother ball game. And
what's involved in an Ironman?
so I want to do the half. That's the 70.3. I want to say it's 54-mile bike ride. I think it's a 2-mile swim, or maybe I don't remember the swim. And
sounds like double what
yes,
you were doing
and
before.
the run is a half a marathon.
Oh my goodness!
So I really, really want to do that. And so I keep thinking if I just lose 50 more pounds and stay focused on my goals, I think I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing diet-wise?
Well, I cut out sugar, which that's the
tough.
hardest thing for me to ever do.
It's an addiction. I mean, I truly
is.
believe it. You go through withdrawal when you finally
do. And when I finally detoxed, it took my body 90 days to detox this. But when I finally detoxed it, I didn't want it back. It was so...
Yeah, it's funny. If you finally do, then you look at those, chocolate-covered salted caramels, let's say. you can let go.
I'd rather
When
have water.
ordinarily it's like, I'll have 3 of them, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've also changed a little other things. It's kind of hard because when you train as hard as I do, you have to eat a lot.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
You do have to have some carbs for your body to perform.
Which was also the problem during quarantine, because after I ran my marathon, I was still eating like I was training for a marathon.
Well.
So that's where I got in a little trouble. But, every day I get a little smarter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a little better, hopefully.
Yeah. So portion control, that a big
Yes,
part of it. And
big part of it. Just like little things, instead of eating cake, why don't you eat some fruit?
Yeah.
Or,
substituting.
yeah. And,
So it wasn't a particular diet or anything that you've done,
No.
just trying to be smarter about what you eat?
A lot smarter, because food has a way of like seeping through, like when you sweat. So if you're eating fried chicken and then you go run, that is the worst smell in the world. I mean, The other day I was like, man, I smell like bacon right now, because I had a big old bacon breakfast and then I went outside and sweated forever. So, just little things like that.
Yeah, hot yoga class will
You're like,
can be
oh,
real eye-opening for sure. Well, I'm just in awe of everything that you've done, and so happy that you've been able to come and kind of update us on your progress. And I guess when we talked, the fact that you'd lost 100 pounds was incredible. There've been some ups and downs, though, as you said.
Yes.
So what do you do when you find yourself sort of slipping into old patterns?
Well, first I cry. No, I'm just kidding. I have to talk to myself, because you have to be forgiving. The problem with a lot of people is they go on this weight loss journey and they're demanding these expectations of their body. And we have to remember that our body is it adapts to its surroundings. So if you're stressed, you're going to gain weight. If you're hormonal as a woman, you're going to gain weight. So to forgive yourself for those moments and just keep pushing forward, because a lot of people will just quit and give up on themselves. But if you just keep pushing and keep pushing, like those plateaus, everybody hits a plateau and then they're like, oh, I guess.
You get discouraged.
Yeah. And don't get discouraged with yourself. Just become forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
You just love yourself through this whole process. I wish I could tell every single person who's going on a weight loss journey to love yourself through this, because you are the only person who knows what your body's going through, and you're the only person who can love yourself through it. Nobody else can love you enough to be like, oh man, I gained 5 pounds this month. What am I going to do? Well, love yourself through it and just keep working. So.
Well, that really is good advice. And I do follow your Facebook page, and you're very transparent about things, disappointments, hurts, those kind of things. How do you deal with that?
Well,
mean things that maybe people say. I can't imagine people saying anything mean.
Well, they do. A lot of people, when you're ready to level up and evolve into something new, a lot of people, without meaning to, will try to keep you in the same place that you are. And so, and you get a lot of unsolicited advice, a lot. I mean, if I were to go through my messenger and let you read all these unsolicited advice that I get, you'd be like, okay. And they always have something to say. And you have to remember that their opinions of you is not your identity. And it does not matter what people say about you. And that's why I tell people to train for something. Learn about yourself. So when somebody comes at you and they say something really harsh and really mean, you know the truth about you. You've seen yourself pick yourself up from falling on the ground and cracking your rib in a marathon. You know, you've seen blood come out of your head and you're like, oh, put a Band-Aid on it. Let's keep going. You know, nobody else knows what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wish I could tell other people who are saying all those things, look, you don't know what they're going through, so let's close our mouths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's wait till you're asked as far as a bit of advice. Well, you are, as I've said repeatedly, you are an inspiration to me and just a joy to know.
Aww.
And I'm just so happy we've had a chance to visit. But what I like to do is end these visits with a little questionnaire similar to the one the late, great James Lipton would use on Inside the Actors Studio.
Okay.
And so this is a little my version of these questions, but we'll start off with, what is your favorite word?
I love the word empowered.
Yeah.
Being somebody who's insecure, when you're empowered to think higher than you can ever imagine, then I just love the word empowered. I love to be empowered. I love to empower other people. So, Yep.
What is your least favorite word?
I would like to say the word fat. Because you get written off with the word fat. So most people, when they use that as to define someone, they're fat. But I think we're more than fat. And I think I like to prove that to people. I mean, I'm a fat woman who just ran 3 marathons and a triathlon. Being fat is not my identity.
No, indeed. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Kindness.
Yeah.
I love when people show kindness. I think that is the most beautiful and one of your strongest strengths you can have, because anybody can be mean. Anybody can act out in anger. It's when someone has been harsh to you that you continue to love them through. I think I like the word, kindness is my favorite thing.
Well, so what turns you off spiritually or creatively or emotionally?
I think bitterness. I'm not fond of bitter people because to me, they had an opportunity to change and they decided not to. So now they're just angry about it and they're bleeding on to other people.
Yeah, it's self-defeating, always. What sound do you love the most?
I love the sound of children singing. There's nothing better than the sound of children singing because it's so pure and happy and magical. I love it.
What sound do you not like to hear?
Honestly, birds. Birds scare me a little. I mean, on the way here, I ducked because I thought a bird was going to come through my windshield. I mean, I'm not very fond of birds.
It was a grackle, I'm sure.
Oh,
and they don't have a pretty
no,
sound.
They don't.
For sure. What other profession would you have wanted to try? I didn't even ask, what do you do for a living? I didn't even ask
Well,
that.
I do both things. I do, I'm a pre-K teacher, and I'm also an office manager at a dance studio.
Okay.
So I get both children and I get to be creative.
Yeah.
And those are my 2 favorite things.
Yeah. Okay. So what other job would you have wanted to do if you could wave a magic wand?
Before I wanted to be a Broadway singer. But
You
now
have the chops for it, for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
I think now I want to be a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
I would love to talk in front of a bunch of women and let them know that they are beautiful and wonderfully made. And I would love to not have another woman dissolve while I evolve. So that would be my goal, to talk women into doing what they think they couldn't do. That would be my ideal job.
Beautifully said. What profession do you know you would not want to do?
Work anywhere in the hospital because
Really?
I don't do blood and I don't do throw up or urine, and that's a lot up there.
That's right. Thank the Lord there are people willing to deal
Oh,
with that stuff.
I praise them every time I see them.
All right. Well, finally, what do you want to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would love for him to say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." But knowing me, he's probably like, "Oh, girl, stay off the golden road. Don't cause any trouble. Stay in your house, in your mansion, please." That'll probably be what happened.
I don't think he's gonna say that. No, he might say you're running too fast down the streets of gold.
Everybody has this idea that God is like, is going to be so loving when they get there. I think he's going to look at me like, "Girl, come on. I know you're going to get lost all the time."
Oh, Regan, you are just such a joy. You're such a joy to be around, and you are inspiring. And I think you should follow that dream of sharing your journey with other people because it is a remarkable one, and it's not done yet.
No, I'm just getting started.
And so they can follow you on Facebook, I guess, Ask to be friended by Regan Haddock. And again, I appreciate your time with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. This was fun.
Central Texas Living is part of the Rogue Media Network family. Be sure to check out their other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate us 5 stars on iTunes and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Living, the podcast.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into KNOW Waco. I am your host, Debbie, here to help you get in the know about Waco. So you may be asking yourself, why am I here? I'm here to be your tour guide through Waco. I'm here to tell you all the goings-on in and around Waco. I'm going to give you the 411 on what's happening, what's going on, and what events you should go to. This is your host, Debbie, signing off. Now that you know, go. Just go, Waco.
You are going on a run.
Are you building a new business while managing a family? Are you tired of trying to balance home and work and everything seems to be coming up short? Then there's a podcast made just for you. Baking Your Business from Scratch is where we create the perfect recipe for building a successful business while managing your home and family with love. Come join us and see for yourself.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.